Hi, this is Mary Susan Beck from Jessamine County Adult Education Skills U, still looking at algebra word problems, and I'm ready to tackle the third type problem. These aren't in any order, but this is a third type problem that you could see on the GED test. It's about the missing mean, and to remind you, mean is the same thing as average, and usually you find the mean or average by adding all the numbers and then dividing by how many numbers were added. So here's an example. If you added 55, 45, 40, 65, and 35, and then divided that by 5 because you just added 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 numbers. Give you a chance to do that. Add those 5 numbers and divide by 5. You'll get an average or a mean of 48. So that's usually the way that you find the mean. So let me move that so we get a little bit more room to work here. So here's a problem that would be asking us to find the missing mean, and it's very busy with lots of words, but just hold on and we'll try to tear it apart a piece at a time. Jerry recorded the temperature on the first 5 days of November and calculated a mean of 48. When he checked his records, he could not read the numbers clearly. He thought the numbers were 35, 40, 45, and 55, but he cannot read one of the 5 numbers at all. If the mean for the 5 days was 48, what was the missing number? So just like in the first problem that we saw, what we would want to do is add the numbers. So if we added the numbers and then divided by 5, because there's going to be 5 numbers, it says right here it's 5 days, so we're going to have 5 numbers, and then divide by 5. It's already told us that the mean is going to be 48. So let's fill this in with the 5 numbers that they've given us, the 4 numbers that they've given us, and an X for the 5th number that we don't know. So if we add the ones we do know, let's do that. 35 plus 40 plus 45 plus 55 is 175. Okay, so if we took the total of 175 plus X and divided by 5 for the 5 numbers that we're supposed to have, that's going to give us the mean of 48. So this is the problem now that we want to focus on. So we're going to do the opposite of the order of operations. So instead of dividing by 5, if we multiplied by 5, 48 times 5 is 240. So we're going to multiply by 5 on this side, and when we multiply by 5 on the other side, it cancels out that one. So that's going to leave us, I said that was 240. So 240. Now we want to do the opposite of adding 175 with x and subtract 175 on both sides. That will leave x all by itself to equal 65. So let's look at another one of those. If Polly scores 95, 89, 80, and 100 on 4 consecutive tests, what will she need to make on the 5th test for an average of 90? So here I've made a little note of the steps that it takes to find the mean or average. You add the numbers, divide by how many numbers you added, and that equals the mean. So if I add up all the numbers, be 95, 89, 80, and 100. And I want them to equal 90 as an average. So 364 plus x, 364 plus the unknown will be equal to 90. Oh, 364 plus x divided by how many numbers were added. So we're looking for 5 numbers. So we're going to divide this by 5. And that will equal 90. So now we're ready to start working the problem backwards. So instead of dividing by 5, if you multiply by 5, that would make 5 cancel on this side, so that would equal 450. So now instead of adding 364, if we subtract 364, we'll leave x by itself to equal 68. So 68 is her missing test number. So here's a practice problem for you to try. You can pause the video and work this and then come back and we'll see if we can work it together. So in this practice problem, Greg is told that he will have an average of 20 students in each of his 7 classes. He is given a class roster for his first 6 classes. The number of students in the class for those classes are 18, 23, 21, 17, 25, and 16. How many students are in Greg's classes? So we're looking for the amount that's in his last class. Oh, how many students are in Greg's last class? So again, I put a little reminder here of how we're going to come about using finding the mean, and the first step is to add the numbers. So if you added the numbers, you would have gotten 120. So if you got stuck at this point, see if you can use these green items here to complete the next step of the problem or to write out the problem. So if we had add the numbers and you added the numbers and got 120, then we would have 120 plus x divided by how many numbers were added, and we know that we're looking for 7 classes, so we would divide by 7, and that would equal a mean of 20, or an average of 20 in each class. So now that we've gotten this part of the problem, if you weren't able to complete it, use the black items over here to see if you can arrange those to complete the problem. So since we were doing the opposite, instead of dividing by 7, we multiplied by 7 to cancel this side out. And then after we got 140 for 20 times 7, instead of adding 120, we would have subtracted 120. And that would have left x all by itself to equal 20. So there's actually 20 students in Greg's last class. So now here are some practice problems that I'm going to leave you with, and I'll do a follow-up video that will work through each one of these and give the answers at the beginning so that you'll know if you've gotten them correct. And I hope that you will do these and join me for the follow-up video. Thank you.